Hey folks, Doug Blake with Body Design University. Welcome to another weekly study. And in today's video, we're going to talk about stimulus control and counter conditioning, or the way the question was posed on the Facebook group. A student had asked, what is the difference between stimulus control and counter conditioning? It's pretty straightforward because I just give you a couple of examples of both, but it kind of follows up on a question that another student had originally had. I did a video on it as well a couple of weeks ago on operant conditioning. Please keep in mind that from a testing perspective, this is a relatively important chapter. So you're going to get a fair number of questions. But what I don't want you to do is to get so caught up in the scratch below the surface psychology that you lose sight of what it is we actually do as trainers. Ironically enough, this is what coaching is all about. So if you've ever heard, or now you're hearing the concept of coaching, nutrition coaching, and just behavioral coaching in general, that's what a lot of this really helps us to do, is to help modify behaviors or help people to modify their behaviors to move from whatever lifestyle they're leading into a healthier, wellness-based, healthier lifestyle, i.e. doing exercise, increasing activity, and eating well. Doing the things that they should be doing that they're not, stop doing the things that they are doing that they shouldn't do, right? I mean, that really is what we're trying to help people to move to when it comes to this whole behavioral change paradigm. So this is in chapter 3. So if you have your textbook, you kind of take a look. If you've gone through it already, basically what we're doing is we're looking at, for the most part, definitions, but there are, and I'm going to pull up my PowerPoint for you. Basically what we're doing is we're trying to kind of understand what these two things mean. Yes, which is important because you'll probably get a question or a couple of questions maybe on it, but really in the real world, what are some examples of this? What does it actually look like? Because we don't talk about stimulus control to people, yet ironically enough, we live our lives for the most part using triggers to help us to modify behaviors, right? We call them antecedents, these triggers. And again, go back to the other videos that you can find on our YouTube channel that spoke to operant conditioning and some behavioral change basics. There's a lot to it, and there's more information that I'm going to be bringing out on it in chapter 3, because ACE put it at the beginning of their textbook for a really good reason. This is the stuff that ultimately, more than anything else, is going to help your clients to make the necessary changes to their lifestyle, their behaviors when it comes to accomplishing their goals. So stimulus control versus counter conditioning. The basic definition of stimulus control is environmental manipulation or adjustment. You're doing things to your world that you live in to affect behaviors. Now, if you go to, and that is I guess that's a pretty decent definition. If you go to page 83, ACE will talk about operant conditioning and move into what are known as antecedents. And for the most part, stimulus control, this type of influence by antecedents on behavior is called stimulus control. In other words, you manipulate the environment, you change the things in your world around you, everything you do when you wake up in the morning to the time you go to sleep. If you manipulate things so you're triggering to get a different response from something, right? That's called stimulus control, right? It's one of the easiest ways to understand it, is that I do things. I set alarms on my phone. I don't have to set an alarm on my phone, but I do it to affect behavioral change. So let's take a look at some examples. Again, environmental manipulation. I can do things to my environment to affect the behavioral outcomes, right? And so if you can do those things, if you can set things in place, reminders, doubling up on certain things, for instance, like having an extra pair of glasses in your car, having food when you need it. These are all ways that you are manipulating your environment in a positive way, for instance. So using antecedents. Here's a great example. And by the way, it's because a student had asked, can you give me some real world examples? Yeah, here's a real world example. Always have your workout bag in your car. I used to have clients all the time oh, I forgot my sneakers, or I forgot oh man, I forgot. And I get that. Absolutely. Yeah, we forget all the time. It's when it becomes habitual. Ace gives you a great example of a guy that's always late because he's looking at the clock and he's like, oh man, I'm running 15 minutes late. Well, that's because the average person is really busy, right? Well, if it's important for you to get to your workouts on time, which it is, then you need to modify your environment. You need to put a trigger that slaps you in the head and says, hey, it's time to go. Now, I think for most people, use your phone, put alarms on your phone. I've got 6 different alarms on my phone. Every 3 hours, an alarm goes off and says, hey, dummy, go get something to eat. Because left to my own devices, I'm going to be on the computer. I'm going to be doing something. I'm going to forget to eat my snack. And if I want to get the results that I want to get, if I want to keep my body fat low and I want to have energy throughout the day, I need to eat every couple of hours, just like you probably do, just like your clients probably do. Without that trigger, without that slap in the back of your head, right? Without the alarm on your phone, you're probably not going to do it. So put that in place. That's called stimulus control. I am controlling stimuli in my environment, right? To make effective, productive changes to my behavior so that my outcomes are the way I want them to be. I want to get to the gym on time. Well, have your workout bag in the car. Do you have an extra pair of underwear, extra pair of socks, and an extra pair of sneakers? That's what I was talking about doubling up, by the way. I would always have 2 pair of sneakers, ones that you wear and do your thing, whatever it is. And then always have one pair. This is what I would tell clients, always have a pair of sneakers specifically for training. Those are your workout sneakers. Don't use them for anything else. You know, the shirt that you wear to work out in, this that you use, the sock, always have something there so that you never get caught off guard. Okay. We call them contingency plans. That's what stimulus control really is. It's kind of a contingency. I always make sure that I have this with me. For instance, I have and by the way, if you don't have one of these, you should get them. It's a portable charger for my phone, right? So I charge it and it's always there ready just in case I have no electricity anywhere I'm at. I also have contingency plans if my electricity or my internet goes off. Now, is that stimulus control? Of course it is. I'm manipulating my environment to make sure that certain things don't happen. Does that make sense? So here's an example. Always have your workout bag in the car. Me personally, I don't have to worry about that. I've been doing this for 35, 40 years. I always have my workout gear. I always have access to, but that's me. My clients, no, they don't. So what you're doing is you're helping them. You're giving them ideas. You're the trainer. Give them ideas. Look, always have your sneakers. Just keep a pair of sneakers in the car. And this way you don't have to come to me when you come in for your workout and say, I can't work out today because I don't know. Oh, no, that ain't happening. Guess what? You're working out in your dress shoes. I'm just saying, you ain't not working out. No, I wouldn't say that. Maybe. Okay. Always have, that's a great example, right? This is a way of manipulating our environment to ensure that you get the outcomes from the behavior, right? So making sure you're always at your workout on time is another one. Ace gives you that example, classic. Use alarms on your phone, great example. By the way, the alarm on your phone situation, I'm going to tell you, that's probably the game changer for most people. It really is. If that can give you a little bit of a wake-up call, a little smack on the head, what I call it, then for sure it's going to be very beneficial. Why? Because what is the outcome you want? What is the behavior that you want to do to get the outcome that you want? It's eating multiple meals during the day. This is meal prep, proximity to healthy snacks. If you go hungry, you're going to make dumb decisions, right? You're going to go out and overeat. No. If here's a stimulus control scenario, the trigger or the antecedent is to have a meal ready and prepared for you. That's what meal prep is all about. So proximity to healthy snacks. Okay. That's another great example of stimulus control. It's taking control of the environment. It's taking control of those things that impact your behavior, right? We're simply trying to make a healthy lifestyle more convenient. Now, I've worked in the fitness industry for decades, and I worked in health clubs. I worked in training facilities where I always had my environment under control in that sense, but the average person doesn't. So that's what you're helping them with. Stimulus control in this sense is really designed to make life more convenient to do the behaviors. Remember, it's all about triggering to get the behavior that provides the appropriate outcome. Okay, that's what we're talking about. Please keep in mind, you can be an antecedent. You're probably one of the most important antecedents or stimulus control for your client. The trainer is, because remember, you become that that accountability factor for them. So you can, I guess you could counter the argument from a technical standpoint, but you, in one sense, actually become a trigger. When they come in and see me, they go, oh, geez, here he goes again. He's going to ask me about my diet. You damn straight I am. Every time I see you, how'd you do on your nutrition today? I actually become a trigger. I become, I'm not sure I'm a positive stimulus. I am, but I do it in a way, perhaps that's not seen as positive stimulus, but that's what I'm there for, to affect accountability. So those would be some examples. Now, what is counter conditioning? Okay, counter conditioning is not the same as stimulus control in this respect. Counter conditioning has the emotional component to it. Stimulus control is from operant conditioning. Okay, the outcome affects the behaviors that you will continue now to do. That's what operant conditioning is. Operant conditioning says that there are consequences to your behaviors. The consequences have a feedback loop element to it. I don't care how you feel about it, doesn't matter. So in operant conditioning, it's not about feelings and emotions, and no. It's about the behavior occurs, and that's going to create some sort of feedback loop mechanism that's going to either bolster the behavior again, you'll repeat it, or you won't. Something to that effect. Counter conditioning, however, no. Counter conditioning is all about how you feel about this stimulus that's coming at you. Classic explanations of this are normally done with pets, a dog. Think of Pavlov's conditioning. That is what's known as classical conditioning. Two stimuli come at you at the same time to exact a certain behavior, right? Salivation occurs when you show food and ring the bell. This is the classical conditioning, right? So here you go. So my dog, who's lying down right over there, her name is Bella. If I give Bella loves, by the way, Bella loves salmon skin. Okay, she's like a beagle, cross between a Jack Russell and a beagle mix. She's the cutest little thing, but she loves salmon skin. So if I take, this is what I could do, is I could take some salmon skin, which she loves, right? If I show her that salmon skin, she will literally start jumping up and down and salivating. Now, if I take that salmon skin and at the same time I go ding, 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 boom, and I give it to her, she's going to salivate, not because of the bell, but because of the salmon skin. What if I do that every day? Ding, 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 ding. Give it. And if I do it enough, I condition my dog to salivate when two stimuli hit her. Guess what happens? She no longer differentiates between the stimuli because they were connected in time and space and outcome. Now, as soon as I go with no salmon skin, I go ding, 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 ding. Guess what'll happen? She'll salivate. That's classical conditioning. Counter conditioning. Why did I tell you that story? Well, it's a fun story. It's true. It happens. You can do it. The reason it's important is because counter conditioning is not about salivation. It's about a feeling or emotion. In humans, it's this emotive response you have. Here you go. I hate working out. I hate working out. Well, what if we're able to change your emotional response to working out by doing something? Now, I can use this. I can use adversive conditioning. I can use desensitizing type of scenarios where I expose you to this thing you don't like after a while, and then I help you to cope with it. That's basically what we do as trainers. Counter conditioning for somebody that doesn't like to work out. Talk about real world. People don't like to work out because they got sore or they got hurt while they were training with somebody else or on their own. If you, oh man, I just hate working out. I hate the way it feels. I'm tired. I'm achy. Whoa. That's because you haven't trained with me. Counter conditioning is taking that emotive response. I hate, I'm scared. I don't feel like doing it. I want to help somebody change that. Now, if you go back to, and that's why I think it's page 73, I think it is 73. In chapter 3, processes of change on table 3.2, they mention counter conditioning as a process of change. Counter conditioning is substituting healthier behaviors and cognitions. Okay, listen, substituting, changing counter to the normal conditioning responses you have, substituting healthier behaviors and cognitions. Cognition simply means mental ways of thinking about things, right? Emotions and feelings, cognitions for the unhealthy behavior. So remember, you have unhealthy behavior, right? You have an unhealthy, whatever that is. You want to replace it. You want to change the way you think and feel about that unhealthy behavior with a good positive feeling about a positive behavior, just as a for instance. Okay. So replace one emotional response, usually a negative response to a given stimulus. And if it's a positive stimulus and you have a negative response to it, positive, right? You have a negative, whatever the stimulus is, you have a negative response to it. We want to change it with a positive response. Okay, I want you to work out. It's a good thing, right? The stimulus, this thing that we're talking about, working out, eating well, you have a negative response to it. We got to change it to a positive response. An unhealthy behavior that you have a positive response to. I know you like eating ice cream every night. I know you like doing these things. I know you like not exercising. We have to change that. Counter conditioning actually has this effect of actually making it so that you don't want to keep doing that negative behavior. All you're doing is changing the emotion, the feelings, the attitudes towards this stimulus to a way that's going to make you move from unhealthy to healthy. I hate working out. Healthy foods don't taste good. What do you do as a trainer? Counter conditioning. I hate. See, there is that negative response. I hate it. I don't like it. That's a negative response. How do I get somebody to go, I love working out? Well, that's you as a trainer. How do you do that? Somehow or another, you have to figure out why they hate it. Healthy foods don't taste good. In other words, I don't like eating healthy foods. Why not? What's the answer? You know the answer. There's one answer. It doesn't taste good. It doesn't taste good. Okay, well, what counter conditioning says, replace that one emotional response. Yuck, I don't like the taste of it, therefore I won't eat it, right? It's negative, to a given stimulus with a positive emotional response. I actually like to eat. Well, how do we do that? Well, it's usually going to be taste, flavor, texture, things. Why do you think we have so many substitutes? Why do you think we have substitute sweeteners? Because I don't like to drink this without, I like it sweet. Well, let's change it from sugar to a sugar substitute. Why do we have replacement, replacement powders for proteins? Why do we have all of these substitutes? Why? It's to get a person to consume a healthier food without all the negative emotions to it. How about classic example? I don't like spinach. I hate cooked spinach. I won't eat cooked spinach. And you know it's nasty too. Ain't nobody eating boiled cooked spinach. What do you have to do to it? Well, guess what we've done in the modern world? We now have baby spinach, which is very nutritious and very good for you, but it's got no flavor. Come on, you know it doesn't, right? What I do is I take spinach, and this is what I get my clients to do. I literally show them, take your spinach that you bought from the store, organic spinach, put it in a bag in the freezer. And once it freezes up, crush it down. And that's what you're going to put in your shakes. Whatever, a handful of that in a shake. You put an apple and a banana with spinach and protein and chia seeds. Guess what it tastes like? apple and banana smoothie. You don't even taste the green part of it. Okay. That's counter conditioning, because now they go from, ew, I don't like to eat healthy, blah, blah, and they drink the shake and they go, wow, that's actually pretty good. Counter conditioning. Look, I hope this is helpful. The idea is that in the real world, we use these all the time. How do you use it effectively? Well, just do what I just mentioned to you. Ask your client why they don't like to do it. Why don't they like working out or doing leg training? Why don't they like training this? Why don't they like this particular exercise? Counter conditioning then is this idea that you have to put in place some method, some methodology to help them to go from a negative response to a positive. I'm not saying people are ever going to love working out. People have been training 10, 15, 20 years. They go, I hate it, but it makes me feel good. Good enough. Good enough. They will do it then. If they can enjoy the process, right? And they can have a positive emotive response to it, that's only going to help them in the long term for maintain in the maintenance stage of the stages of change. For instance, again, counter conditioning. The whole point is if I have a negative feeling, attitude, emotion towards this particular behavior, I'm probably not going to do it. So how can I, as the trainer, help this individual to move to create a more positive response? So I no longer do the unhealthy behavior. I start to move to do a healthy behavior. I no longer, hate eating salads. Well, don't eat a salad. Why do you have to eat a salad? Because I was told, no, by the way, for the most part, eating a salad with iceberg lettuce is a waste of your time anyway. No, you don't need to do that. The whole goal here is to understand nutrition, and you teach your clients about nutrition so they actually start to have a positive response to getting more fiber and more nutrition in their diet. Okay. That's why we ask people, what do you like to eat? What kind of vegetables? Well, I love cucumbers because they don't have much flavor. Okay. Well, that's one thing that we're going to add into, a meal or whatever the case is. I hope good. I can go on like this forever, right? The point is that stimulus control versus counter conditioning, very different sides of a very similar coin. When we're dealing with issues related to stages of change, behavioral change, and operant conditioning, these are the terms that come into the equation. Remember, you've got to pass the exam, so you've got to know them definitionally. But I hope this particular video gave you some better understanding of how you would use it in the real world, not only for yourself but for your clients. Remember, just because you apply a trigger, an antecedent, doesn't mean, just because I have the alarm on my phone, doesn't mean I'm going to follow through on what that antecedent was designed to do. Okay. My alarm goes off and I'm still busy. Oh, I'll get right back to it. And then I forget to eat. All I'm saying is that is the academic understanding of it. In the real world, there's more things you have to obviously do. But I hope those examples were helpful. Remember, our goal at Body Design University is to help you pass the ACE exam on the first attempt, unless you've already taken it and you didn't pass, then to help you to pass it on the second or whatever attempt you are on. If you like the content and the material that we give to you here, go ahead and subscribe to the YouTube channel. It's a lot of material that we have not only begun to put into it, but will now continue on many different subjects related to helping you pass the ACE exam and then ultimately to become an industry leading personal trainer. Keep in mind that we're here to assist. If you have questions or comments, just put them below and let us know how else we can assist you. As always, it's a pleasure. We will see you next week. Thanks.